Cooper Kupp is off the board. Once you saw the price tag, the cost of getting Cooper Kupp, 3 years, $45 million, $15 million. I think we were talking last week in the neighborhood of, hey, if you could get him for 1 year, $12 million, you do that. So now that it's all said and done, you're okay with the Broncos not trying to work overtime to get Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, we talked about a 1 year deal, maybe a 2 year deal. You don't want to delay the development of young wide receivers. They love Mims, they love Vele, they love, Franklin and some of the progress that they have made. So I'm okay with that, like not signing to a long-term deal. It makes sense to me, and we talked a bunch about some of these young receivers that they seem to like. So yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, is this a little bit too much for me? 3 years, 45. I think with what you were going to ask him to do here. Again, I think the plan would have been play him 20 to 30 plays a game. And at $15 million per, you probably got the first 2 years of that contract fully guaranteed or close to it. Just a little bit too much. So wasn't the right spot for the Broncos to sign him in. Let him go, which stinks because I think he could have really helped the Denver Broncos and their offense and Bo Nix and help these other receivers also, these young receivers that the Broncos are trying to develop. But just wasn't meant to be. Now you move on and you try to find another receiver to add to the room.
Well, okay, that's where I was going to go with, because you had Mike Kliss telling us at the start of free agency the positions that the Broncos might be looking to target, and Mike was right on when he said inside linebacker, safety, tight end, joker tight end. But he also mentioned a wide receiver, a veteran receiver, kind of in that 2.5 category. Not a number 1 receiver, not a number 2, somewhere between a number 2 and 3. And here we are going into the second week of free agency. The wide receiver list is the pool is getting more and more shallow, but there's still some interesting names out there recognizable to football fans. Guys, do any of these, and I'll start with you, Mark, do any of these guys really stand out as, go get this guy, especially since at this point it'll be a good deal? We're talking about Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen, Elijah Moore, Brandon Cooks. Any of these guys stand out to you, Stink?
Cooks has been a guy that has been a Sean Payton. He was drafted originally by Sean Payton in New Orleans, can still run. But there's nobody on that list that just jumps off the table. I like Keenan Allen a lot because he's a, big physical dude. But, I mean, you got a big physical dude on the outside in Cortland Sutton, so I just don't know that he's a fit. None of those names. Stephon Diggs coming off ACL, I believe. Like that guy has been in certain stops a bit of a pain in the butt. Nothing but great reports on him last year because he's on that 1 year deal. But I don't think you want that with a young quarterback in there, a guy that has the potential to be somewhat of a pain in the butt. I don't know. Nobody really jumps off the table for me. Stoke, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 that I like there. 2 that I are at the top of my list, and it's Keenan Allen for the reasons that you said. And again, same plan as Cooper Kupp. Hey, 20, 30 plays a game, 35. Keenan Allen can play inside. He can play outside. He's going to be your quarterback's best friend. That's what he's going to do. And so I think if you got a good plan for him, the guy could still produce. And then Elijah Moore, young guy. We saw him here in Denver playing for Cleveland with the Jerry Jeudy game, and he had a really good game also. So I like his game. He's a young player, just finishing his 4th year. And then Amari Cooper. He's a really good route runner. I get it. He didn't do a whole lot last year. Got traded to Buffalo. That's always a tricky situation there. And the reason why I do like Amari Cooper is because he is a little bit older, but you don't have the drama. You don't have the Stephon Diggs drama that comes along with him. He's just a quiet guy, goes out there and works. So any one of those 3 I'm fine with.
But are we overlooking something here when it comes to Sean, right? We're talking about Sean Payton, who I think that we've gotten a pretty good sense over the first couple years is that this guy has a pretty good ego.
What I talk with Russell about is none of your business.
So if you're looking at a guy who in the 2 years that he's been here moved up to get Marvin Mims, Drafted Troy Franklin in the 4th round and immediately came out and said they had a 2nd-round grade on him. Also drafted Devon Vele and was quick to say, hey, there's another receiver I got in the 7th round in New Orleans named Marcus Colston who went on to have a great career. Are we overlooking the idea that this guy may already think that his wide receiver room is just fine and that they don't need to overextend to bring somebody else in here because of these guys that he identified and drafted, and believes that they can turn out to be really good receivers, that his number 2 is in this group, that his 2.5 is in this group of guys, Stink, that he's brought in here?
Yeah, I totally think that's where he's going. I don't think, listen, I think he loves Vele. I think you're 100% on it with Marcus Colston, and that was a 7th rounder that became a big-time player for him. I think you're 100% on it. I think they knew Troy Franklin was going to take a little bit of time. Like, he can really run, but it was going to take a little bit of time for him to develop, him to become kind of an NFL wide receiver. We saw him have a really bad camp, but they stayed with him through camp. We saw him drop a couple of balls, but make big-time plays down the football field, got himself open. I think I would venture to guess, and I don't know, I haven't talked to Sean about it, but I would venture to guess that there's like a hidden feeling of this room is going to just continue to develop and become really good.
Yeah, I just want to be careful here with developing guys, and while we're trying to develop our quarterback, right? I mean, I want more of a known here while we develop. Now, if you had Peyton Manning come to town, okay, that's fine. We can develop some guys then. But when you got a quarterback that you're trying to develop, I don't think that's the right approach. Is okay. Let's just continue to develop our young receivers now, and we also can't forget. We don't have a 1st-round pick in there. I get it. Mims was a 2nd-round pick, but he's going on his 3rd year. He's a good returner. He was a good hybrid utility guy last year. He's not a number 2 wide receiver. Franklin, I mean, do you really think he's going to be a top-level number 2 wide receiver?
You tell me. You're the expert. Do you see number 2 potential with this guy?
I need to see more. I mean, we saw him for 1 year. A lot of it wasn't good, but then there was some good there. I thought he bounced back and finished the season off strong. So I want to see a little bit more before I can't give you that answer. So I just that's my only concern here is that we're just going to go through and just say, all right, never mind. Let's just keep developing our guys. And sure, we like Vele. He's been good, but what level of a receiver, is he and will he be? He's a little bit older guy, and that's just my only concern here.
I think, Stink, that you look at Sean. I think in his mind he would rather continue to develop a Vele, a Franklin, and a Mims than just bring in Keenan Allen at this stage of his career or Amari Cooper at this stage of his career. I think he would want to keep these guys from their development from being blocked.
Yeah, I just have a feeling that they feel a lot more confident in that wide receiver room than many of us do. Yep. And so, ultimately, where do you could I see them signing another tight end? Yeah, I could see that happening. Could I see them, signing some backup offensive linemen? Yeah, I could see that happening. But and I could see them bringing in a veteran guy. I could see them bringing in, a wide receiver, but I just have a gut feeling that they are pretty confident in the guys they have and the development and where that room is going.